2. Boom. And we are live here with Eli Berkovits, a.k.a. at Book of Eli _NFL on X.com. Eli, how's it going? Packers just had their first preseason game against the Cleveland Browns. They won 23-10. I mean, you've been going to the training camps. You've been covering these guys. What did you want to see going into this game, and what did you end up seeing? Well, was there a big difference between what you wanted to see and what you ended up seeing?
Honestly, not really. I kind of wanted to see, Jordan Love and the first team offense go out there and put up points on the first drive, and they did that rather quickly on the third play of the game. Jordan Love to Dontavian Wicks, 65-yard touchdown. Really not going to get much of a better start than that. Just throughout the rest of the game, we still saw the offense maybe not put up a bunch of touchdowns, but a handful of scoring drives. The kicking game was good. Some of the depth receivers and the running backs looked good. The defense made some nice plays. So overall, kind of, as good of a preseason start as you can get, especially health-wise, which they mostly left the game perfectly all right.
I say mostly. I mean, what's changed in there? Who got banged up?
So the biggest name I would say would be rookie running back Marshawn Lloyd, third-round pick, someone that I think a lot of fans are really excited about. And he kind of pulled, I think it's a hamstring injury. I don't know the severity yet. They haven't really said, but obviously the Packers and hamstring injuries, they kind of go hand in hand. It's been going on for a while. Hopefully this does not linger because I think he should be the RB2 on this team, and I hope he's ready for week 1.
Yeah, did he end up being? I mean, where was he in terms of snaps? Was he the first one out there, second one out there?
I think he was the third one out there behind Emmanuel. Well, Josh Jacobs started. He played the first couple plays, and then it was A.J. Dillon and Emmanuel Wilson, and then he got on the field. But Emmanuel Wilson got most of the carries and actually looked really good, as he did last preseason. So he's someone I'm hoping is going to make this roster, which, I mean, we could get into at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been hearing, well, let me just say this. I've been doing a lot of best ball drafts so far, and I've been taking a lot of Marshawn Lloyd. So hearing these concerns about fumbling and he's having ball security issues at training camp is the word on the street. That's what I don't like to hear.
Yeah, he did kind of have those issues in college, and I think those have been somewhat coming up throughout training camp. But that's obviously going to be – that's probably his biggest critique coming into the league is just protecting the ball. And as we all know, it's kind of the most important thing for really anyone. But as a running back, you can't go out there fumbling the ball nearly as much as he did in college. So it's something he has to work on. And being on the field is a big part of that. So, again, just hoping he gets back as soon as possible from this hamstring injury.
Yeah. Hi, Kitty. Now, speaking of the running backs, I did see you fired off a tweet. Unfortunately, I guess there was a short yardage situation. A.J. Dillon just wasn't getting it done. I mean, what did you see from him tonight?
A.J. Dillon does what A.J. Dillon does. He is the big bruising back who plays the 180-pound receiving back. It just doesn't make any sense. A lot of Packer fans will defend him till their dying breath, and it's nothing against him. He's a great guy. It's insane. And honestly, I'm saying all levels of Packers players get absolutely brutally criticized by fans, and they don't really seem to care. But there's something about A.J. Dillon that Packer fans cannot bring themselves to say a bad word about him. He's the mayor of Door County, and he's, this great personality, and I get that, and that's nice. And, he's a leader, and I'm not trying to, bash him as a person. The bottom line is he's been in the league for 4 years. He's been the same guy since day one, which has been not really all that effective. In cold weather games, if you give him 18 carries, he'll put together a bit of a performance, but it's never with efficiency. It's never with flash plays. And the biggest thing of him being this big, ripped, strong running back with the biggest quads in the league, and the guy today, 2nd and 1, gets 3 straight carries and can't pick up 1 yard. So it's and that is, again, just a microcosm of what we've seen over the years. I was more than prepared for them to not bring him back this year. Again, it doesn't mean I wanted his career to be over. He could have went somewhere else and played, but they brought him back on I mean, essentially gave him the veteran minimum. So it's not like I think he's a lock to make this roster. And if Emmanuel Wilson keeps playing the way he does and Lloyd gets back from injury, I just don't know why they would keep him. I just don't see much value there. He is who he is, and I don't think that's going to change in year 5.
Was there any action from the rookie first-round pick, Jordan Morgan, tonight on the offensive line?
No, unfortunately, he got a bit banged up in practice this week. It's not something that they're like too concerned about, but they held him out tonight. Makes sense, not going to push anything in week 1 of the preseason. I do hope, though, he gets out there next week, or worst case, week 3 of the preseason. Definitely want to see him get some snaps, though, because throughout training camp, he's been taking most of the starting snaps at right guard. So if they're hoping for him to be a starter, obviously I don't think he should go into week 1 without any snaps. So he's got to get out there. And I'm sorry if you hear any like jingling of like a bell. My cat is being a little so sorry.
Oh, please, dude. I mean, I'm expecting my dogs to bark any minute now. We've got my wife decided to do dishes right now. No offense, honey, but
Yeah.
so good. Because I've been hearing he's actually been doing pretty well in training camp, Jordan Morgan. So hopefully he gets back healthy and out there. Nate, did you want to get in here before I take the entire show over here? I haven't given you.
I mean, I don't know very many Packers fans. I actually work with one, but my question to you was, how did you feel about the Jordan Love deal? Because for me, when I heard about it, it was kind of a head scratch. I was like, that's a lot of money for a guy who only played his first full season. I mean, yeah, they beat Dallas in the playoffs. They made it. They were a field goal away from making it to the championship game. So that's my question. Like, what is your feelings towards that deal?
So, to be honest, I think essentially the day they beat Dallas for sure, but really the minute they made the playoffs and the way we saw Jordan Love finish the year last year, I knew he was going to be the highest paid quarterback, because the way the NFL works is, that's just how it is. Like, if you're a quarterback who shows that top level potential or talent and all that, you're not going to take a deal that is not at the very least tied for the top, but usually it's always the top. Like, yes, like Baker Mayfield signed a deal with the Bucs and it was 3 years, like $100 million, but Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, like that level, fine, you're not going to be the highest paid. But Jordan Love is just, it was inevitable that was going to happen the way he finished the season. It is a little scary. It's like, it is, it's a tremendous amount of money, $75 million signing bonus. So that's, essentially guaranteed. So it is a bit scary, but it's a small sample size, but it's not like he was a career journeyman who put together a handful of good games on one team one time and it worked out. It was, he sat behind an all-time great, and when he finally got a shot, he essentially did it. And people like to say, 8 good games and then, awful first half of the season. But if you're a Packer fan and you actually watch every game, you know that the first half of the season was not just, it was terrible, it was all bad. The first 3 games of the year, he was basically tremendous. I mean, I think he threw maybe 1, maybe 2 picks, but he had like 7 touchdowns. He was very, very good the first 3 weeks. Then there was about a 4-week struggle with the whole offense. And then after that 4 weeks, he was essentially the best quarterback in football for the last 8-9 weeks of the year, up there with, Lamar, Dak, whatever. But it's a scary deal, but I'm confident in him. And I think he showed tonight, his first throw of the preseason, 65-yard touchdown, right on the money, right in stride. So, of course, it's only 1 throw, but I think he kind of showed, and he's been showing in practice why he got that deal.
You said that was his first throw of the night?
Yeah, I actually caught a glimpse.
Sorry, a second, but yeah.
We don't get to. I caught. They sent the highlights. I saw the throw. They don't let us see all the games, so I caught the highlight. It was a pretty nice throw. So, do you think that y'all have an opportunity to compete with Detroit for the division this year?
The Lions are very, very good, and it's actually incredibly frustrating because they were just a team you didn't really have to think about. Like, as a Packer fan, it was like, all right, two wins a year. Don't even worry about the Lions. And then they didn't just become good. They are really good. And they, just the way they're drafting and building that team, they're just nailing picks and signings and really going for it. So it is going to be a challenge. But look, we saw the Packers go into Detroit last year on Thanksgiving and essentially wipe the floor with them. The scoreboard, the final score looks a lot closer than the game actually was. It was kind of over decently early in the fourth quarter. The Lions scored once or twice late in the game, but I think it's going to be very, very close between the two teams. I'm not going to sit here and say I think there's no doubt the Packers win the division, because I think the Lions could win 13 games. But I also wouldn't be surprised if the Packers win 11, 12 games and end up with the fifth seed. But, it just happens to be they're in a division with a team that is probably also going to be a Super Bowl contender. So I think it will be very close. The winner of the division will probably have to win, I think, 13 games.
Yeah, I mean, you see right here, Fox Sports already has them listed as the 9th favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. So, I mean, that's pretty damn good odds right there. Yeah,
I'll take those odds. I may have already, sprinkled some futures as I like to do. Like, my problem is the second I get a few drinks in me, and if it's late enough at night and FanDuel is just like, hey, come here. Let me just show you something really cool. And then it's like the middle of May. There's no reason to be placing any bets on anything. And then it's the week before the season. I'm like, all right, let's go do some futures. I open on my app. I already have 43 bets. I'm like, all right, I'm clearly already done for the year. I don't know what I was thinking with that. But Jordan Love, MVP odds, definitely something I think to look at. I remember I used to do every single year, I would put down just a $100 bet Aaron Rodgers to win MVP. He won 4 MVPs, and it happens to be that on 3 of those 4 years, for some reason, were the 3 years out of a 10 to 12 year stretch, I did not bet on him. So I hit one of the 4 MVP years. Every other year I missed. So that was fun. That was fun to see. But this is a team that's another thing. If we're going to talk about gambling, something that I think you should definitely look at is I'm seeing, because no one really knows who's going to be the wide receiver one on this team. The receiving props are incredibly low. I just put together a future that had rolling 5 to 75 yards. That is, I think he soars past that number. I think he could compete for 1,000 yards. And I'm not going to give exact numbers because I'm not totally sure. But I would be very confident in betting the over in any one of him, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks. The only reason I would maybe be hesitant about Christian Watson is just his health. But if Watson plays even 15 games this year, he's going to destroy any props he has out there for him.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my next questions about Christian Watson's health, because he's shown flashes when he's healthy. It's just keeping him on the field. It's been an issue.
Yeah, it is frustrating because it's not just second round pick that you're excited about, but you don't really get to see and you don't really know what he could be. Every time he's on the field, he's just making plays, having huge games, multiple touchdowns, mossing people. So again, as I just said, I really do think if he stays healthy and can put it together, I think he has 1,200 yards, 10 plus touchdowns in him, easy. And this year, I don't know if you guys saw, it was kind of an interesting story that a lot of people were talking about on Twitter, but he actually went down to the University of Wisconsin to see a specialist for his hamstrings. And it turns out that one of his hamstrings was 20 or 30% larger than the other, the actual hamstring muscle. So basically he's been working on strengthening and, lowering that gap between hamstrings. Obviously that's pretty strange. I've never really heard of that before. But if he can stay healthy, and so far through camp he has been healthy and he's been making plays, people make fun of me on Twitter because I speak very highly of him because, again, if you watch him play when he's out there, it's rare to see someone with that kind of athleticism, size, speed, kind of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me, shout out to my junior high Spanish teacher, Miss Apala. She was super hot, but she had one leg a little bit longer than the other. She kind of walked with this weird gait, and so that was the only thing, and we all just kind of, So, shout out to Mr.
Couldn't wait. You just couldn't wait, could you? Just really couldn't wait.
That's good. That's a good thing to bring in there. No, I like that detail.
that article, to see Jordan Love, and really what's his second full season, already be the 4th favorite to win MVP. after just decades of Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre before him. It's just really a ridiculous thing to see. I mean, as a Green Bay fan, you're just so spoiled with quarterbacks. But yeah, going back to the receivers, I mean, let's talk a little bit of fantasy here for a minute. Dontavian Wicks is a darling. Everyone wants to draft him. He's in all the articles, and I think that people are just plain assuming that Christian Watson is going to get injured. But from what I understand, I mean, when Watson's on the field, he is getting a high target percentage. So, I mean, do you think people are, let's say, I should have looked up the ADPs right now, but let's say you're in a draft right now. I think Jaden Reed is the first guy off the board, and then Watson, and then a few rounds later, you're getting Dobbs. And then a few rounds later, you're getting Wicks. Who have you been targeting, or who do you think you will target in fantasy drafts this year?
So I kind of knew this was going to come up, and it's like painful for me to say this, but I would honestly, depending on the value, but probably avoid Packers receivers only because we really don't know who's going to be out. We don't know who's going to be the one. And again, I do think if Christian Watson stays healthy, he will be undoubtedly the receiver one on the Packers, and I think he'll probably be a top 12 fantasy receiver. Like that's, I think, very much in the realm of possibility. But we've also seen him miss a tremendous amount of time. So what I would say, like I'm always plugged in fantasy, but I would say, for redraft, I've been diving in the last few weeks a lot more since camp started, doing some mock drafts. And the problem is that right now they really are a good value. So like I kind of find myself drafting them, even though I keep telling people not to. But the way I see it is if you could get Christian Watson in like the 9th, 10th round, which I've been getting him in some mocks, like I would probably do that. If you're the way I kind of have started doing fantasy and realizing is like, if you're not winning first play, if you're not winning the championship, you're losing. So like you might as well go. Used to spend too much time trying to get so many safe picks and high floor guys and maybe not going for the most ceiling. But I think you go Christian Watson, a ton of upside there. But then Romeo Dobbs, is being talked about as the wide receiver one in the offense right now. And he's going probably in the 11th or 12th round or even later in some drafts. Dontavian Wicks even later than that. So again, there are values to be had, but it could be hard because last year you never knew who was going to be the guy that week. And then you also have to add in the fact that they have 2 tight ends that they like a lot. So I like them. I would just say don't reach for them. Like I shouldn't say don't draft them, just for sure don't reach for them because we don't really know what they're going to be. Right price, I think they could be worth it.
What about you, Nate? You got a favorite amongst those guys?
Christian Watson's would probably be my only pick because I had him. I think it was the year before last. I had him when he had that stretch where he was just you couldn't stop him. It was like 2 touchdown, 3 touchdown games. Romeo Dobbs would probably be my next pick. But listen to after what he said, because I think we had one, and I think I picked one of them kind of high, like in the earlier rounds. So listening to that, I may have to rethink my strategy this year as far as for Packer receivers. But it's just it's so hard with Jordan Love playing as well as he's playing. It's going to be kind of difficult to stay away from, especially Christian Watson. It's going to be difficult to stay away from him.
I really like Dobbs. I understand the flash with Jaden Reed and Watson and Wicks, but man, I mean, Watson's got, half a hamstring and Jaden Reed plays like Deebo Samuel, but he's half the size of Deebo Samuel. And it's like, boy, to get 900 yards and 9 touchdowns with that small slice of pie that Dobbs gets, I think there's really a connection there with Love. And I do, especially for best ball, if you're just getting the best performance each week, I really love Dobbs on the team. Let's switch over real quick to the running back situation. I do want to talk about Josh Jacobs and the darling rookie running back Marshawn Lloyd. Do you think at this point in his career, I mean, first of all, let's just talk about your reaction initially to Josh Jacobs. Did you like the signing to begin with?
I did. I mean, I was very excited about it. Of course, when we signed him, Aaron Jones was still on the team, and there was an expectation he would remain on the team. That, of course, changed. So it didn't make me hate the Jacobs signing. It just made it a little more bittersweet. Of course, Aaron Jones being a fan favorite, but Jacobs, at the end of the day, he's still in his prime. He's only 26 years old. Aaron Jones is nearly 29. So there was obviously a pretty big difference there. And, some people kind of freaked out initially at the money. It was like 4 years, 40 million, but like every Packers contract, it's essentially a 1-year deal with 3 years of like very, basically team options with easy outs, no dead money. So if for some reason, and I have no expectation of it not working out, but if for some reason Jacobs does not have the year they're hoping for or expecting, they're not locked in for the next 3-4 years. They can move on if needed. Again, I don't think that will be needed. So I'm very excited about him. He has been starting to make a ton of plays at camp. I was actually at camp on Tuesday of this week, and he was really impressive. Just the burst for a guy that there's something about Josh Jacobs. I think people think that he's just older than he is. It feels like he's been in the league for a long time. He's always getting so many carries. But again, he's only 26 years old. He has not been in the league as long as people think. I still think there's definitely a couple years left of his top level play. And then behind him, Marshawn Lloyd, we talked about it a bit earlier, unfortunately left tonight's game with a hamstring injury, but he's someone that the Packers offensive coordinator, Adam Stenavich, every time he has a press conference, he cannot stop talking about Marshawn Lloyd, can't stop talking about wanting to get him the ball, how explosive he is. In terms of fantasy, I don't know, where you guys take in most of your fantasy content, but I've been seeing a lot of people who are starting to put Josh Jacobs on like do not draft lists because they're so concerned about Marshawn Lloyd eating into his workload, which, it could happen. I think, Matt LaFleur clearly showed us with Aaron Jones that no matter how talented you are, you're not going to get a full workload that not many teams, but some teams will give their running back. It's honestly probably the biggest critique I have of Matt LaFleur as a coach was his complete refusal to just feed Aaron Jones. And I get it. Aaron Jones did have injury issues, but whatever. I'm not going to get into it. But he gave A.J. Dillon way too many carries. He had Aaron Jones sitting on the sidelines inexplicably week after week. And I just hope he does not do that to Josh Jacobs. The only way I won't mind is if Marshawn Lloyd is out there being just as effective. But I will say, if A.J. Dillon makes this team and I'm watching Jacobs get 11 carries and A.J. Dillon's getting 8 carries, I might have to go down to Green Bay myself and start taking their business. Something bad's going to happen. It's unacceptable.
So in your ideal world, Jacobs is getting like at least 80% of the running back opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I think he needs to have a floor of 15 carries a game and probably like 18 touches. So, put him at 2, 3, 4 catches a game. But like we would see Aaron Jones routinely get 10 to 13 touches a game, which to me is absolutely ludicrous. And if you do that to Josh Jacobs, it's just like, why did you sign him? You could have kept Aaron Jones for a lot less money and continued to give him 12 touches a game and worked in Marshawn Lloyd or A.J. Dillon or Emmanuel Wilson. So I do think, though, they got Jacobs. They like him a lot. So I do think he's going to get it more than Jones because also Jacobs has not had the injury history of Aaron Jones. So I just hope that Matt LaFleur, it's not just like his coaching style. It was more, all right, look, if I give Aaron Jones 18 touches a game, he's not going to make it past week 5. But Josh Jacobs, I think, is a lot more durable than that.
All right, so we talked a little bit about the addition to the draft and Jordan Morgan. We talked about Josh Jacobs in free agency. Is there anyone that they lost in free agency or maybe retirement that I'm not aware of that you think they're going to particularly miss this year?
I'm having a hard time even thinking of any like major because so much of this team is so young. Well, I mean, Aaron Jones, obviously, we just discussed. I think Aaron Jones, just in terms of leadership, the kind of guy he is in the locker room. I actually had the pleasure of meeting him last year before a preseason game in Green Bay. He's as good of a guy as everyone, talks about him and thinks of him as. So he'll definitely be missed. But again, I think they'll be able to replace his production on the field with Jacobs and Lloyd and the guys they got. But as a leader and a person in the locker room, that could be tough. But honestly, the rest of the roster, I mean, I'm trying to think. It really didn't lose. Like, the whole safety room is different. So, but again, I wouldn't, like, no offense. Like, I like Darnell Savage. Like, Darnell Savage was actually probably one of my favorite prospects coming out of the draft, someone that I was desperately wanting them to draft, and they traded up and drafted him. I couldn't believe it. I was thrilled, and it just didn't work out. Unfortunately, it just did not work out. So I think it's the best for both parties that he moved on. So yeah, this team's really young. You know, they're not losing a lot of key veterans right now.
No, they are super young, super talented. I do have one more offensive question before I have some defensive questions. Not offensive like it's going to hurt his feelings, Nate.
That's what I thought. Like, well, okay, well, shit,
but before I do, Nate, did you have anything you wanted to slip in there before
I mean, the only question is like, because I've had it where I've had star players from the Falcons go to rival teams. How did you feel when Aaron Jones signed with the Vikings?
Oh, that really made him mad. He can't even express it.
At this point, no, sorry, no, it was a little bit frozen. But from context, it seems like you're asking about Aaron Jones going to the Vikings, and unfortunately, this is the life of a Packer fan. I feel like every single former Packer ends up on the Bears, Vikings, or Lions, or maybe the 49ers, which essentially is, you know, the next biggest rivalry for the Packers right now. So it's at this point, it really doesn't even surprise me. Like the joke on Packers Twitter is anytime a veteran leaves the team, it's like, all right, which team? They put like a poll: Vikings, Packers, Lions. Which one will they sign at? And 9 out of 10 times that's the case. So it sucks. Like it sucks. Like most players, like, you know, you manage to get over, but it's never fun to have to face them. You know, obviously we did that with Brett Favre with the Vikings. That was no fun. But Aaron Jones is going to be also, you know, tough just again because I think fans loved him so much, and to see him, you know, in a purple sombrero, you know, pregame instead of a green and yellow, it's not going to be fun.
So I had to ask. I know David Bakhtiari was a staple of this offensive line for a long time, and now going into this season,
there's someone I forgot.
No, I mean you're going into the season depending on, I believe.
No, sorry, I was just saying that when you asked me, I forgot it.
The new left tackle is Rasheed Walker. He's a 7th round pick, right? Yeah. Our mutual friend Dave Sager told me he's been holding up pretty well in training camp. So I just wanted to know how you feel about. Do you have confidence in him going into the season, or is that something you think they should look at as far as maybe adding someone?
No, I'm actually very confident. I mean, he played. I think he started like all of last year, maybe 15 or 16 games last year. And there were a couple rough starts, but for the most part, he was very good, very reliable. And when they drafted Jordan Morgan, it was like, okay, maybe they don't like Rasheed Walker as much as we thought, because Morgan was projected to end up as a left tackle in the NFL. But I mean, I know he's played a couple snaps there, maybe at minicamp. I don't know if he's played any snaps there at training camp. Jordan Morgan at left tackle. It's been all at right guard. Rasheed Walker is taking all of the left tackle snaps with the ones. I think the team is very confident and set on Rasheed Walker being the starting left tackle, and I'm fine with that. You know, it's a 7th round pick, so it's a little bit, it seems on paper a little bit strange, but, you know, the Packers are kind of known for drafting and developing offensive linemen on day 3 of the draft, and it seems like they did it again with Rasheed Walker. And then, of course, they have Zach Tom, who was a day 3 pick, who's looking like a stud at right tackle. So it's just something that they're pretty good at.
No, that's awesome. I think it's great. I mean, obviously, when you can develop guys that late, I mean, I know from Jordan Mailata being just a freak rugby player, I mean, it's just great when you can have coaches develop guys. Now, going on the other side of the ball, I mean, you got Kenny Clark, you've got TJ Slayton, who's going to be an important part of that defensive line rotation. I think the Packers have a very underrated young defensive line. I mean, when we're talking about them at the end of the season, do you think we could be talking about a top 5 unit for sure?
Top 5, I mean, I think it's in the realm of possibility. It might be a little ambitious, but I actually just tweeted the other day that, I mean, probably not since 2010, which is when they last won the Super Bowl, have I felt this good about the defensive line and the depth. I mean, not even talking about Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith on the edge, but like you said, Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, former 1st-round pick, had what was already becoming a breakout year last year. I mean, dominant at the line, had a problem finishing plays and actually sacking the quarterback, but was destroying guards and centers all year. was having a very good camp, and then tonight versus the Browns, in the limited action he had, was constantly in the backfield, causing a ton of disruption. So I'm very excited about him. Carl Brooks, another day 3 pick they got last year, who had a great rookie year. Someone that is, again, someone that, put it this way, the average NFL fan probably does not know the name Carl Brooks right now. By the end of the year, I think that will definitely be different. I saw a number of, where they do redo the first round of the draft, like 6 months later or whatever, after the rookie season of all these players. And on almost all of them, Carl Brooks went from being a 5th round pick to a 1st round pick. He was in just about every single redo of the first round. So excited about him. And then you still have Lucas Van Ness, who's going to be inside and out, but former 1st round pick, top 15 overall. There's a lot of guys there. So I'm very excited about just also Jeff Hafley. The new defensive coordinator. It's a totally different system. They're going from a 3-4 to a 4-3, and I think it's going to benefit a lot of the guys on the team.
I think it's a super young, super talented unit on both sides of the ball. Green Bay is going to be good for a long time, and I hate it. I love it. I hate it that they're in the conference and they're always going to be, competing with us. But it's really something. But as far as in their own division, you've been super generous with your time, and I appreciate it. Just want to squeeze in a few things real quick. What's been your impression so far? We've had one episode of Hard Knocks with the Bears where they really focused in on Caleb Williams, and you also have J.J. McCarthy now in the division. Are you scared of either one of them? I don't know if scared is the right word. But when they drafted him, were you like, oh my God, I'm so worried about this? Or were you actually excited about maybe the McCarthy pick? Did you think the Vikings messed up? I got to know how you felt about both guys.
Well, first off, it's hard to even discuss Caleb Williams without going to the beginning and blaming Davis Mills and Lovie Smith of the Houston Texans back in 2022, Hail Mary, week 18 of the year, to win the game meaninglessly and give the Bears the 1st overall pick.
He's holding that one, Nate.
Yeah, this entire chain reaction of just complete nonsense. The Panthers, you're a joke of a franchise. That's the bottom line. Everything, if I was a Panther fan, I don't even know if I'd be able to watch football. You give that huge
I don't know how they do it.
And then you draft a guy that is like the size of my 11-year-old nephew. And then you have C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson there, who maybe they didn't do it as well as he did in college, that. But I'm sorry, Bryce Young, you just see him next to NFL players, and you think that they dropped a middle schooler onto the field. There's no way that you could look at him and draft him first. It's not against him. If he was, 3 inches taller and 30 pounds heavier, yeah, 1st overall pick, and he probably would have been very good last year. But so it all starts, again. Lovie Smith, Davis Mills, you're the problem. And then the Bears, they had Caleb Williams.
With Davis Mills.
Yeah. Look, I'm not going to say I'm scared because it's the Bears. And the Bears, they just do things that they're the Bears. It just never seems to work out. But I'll be honest, I watched Caleb Williams today in, the limited action he had, some of those throws he made. I'll say this. I've never seen a Bears quarterback make throws that he's made. That's for sure. But again, I'll just hope the Bears manage to botch it as they always do. And in terms of J.J. McCarthy, I never really put this out there. I did to there you go, Nate. I've always said, I just don't see it. I just think he's kind of going to be maybe a little bit of a better version of Daniel Jones. I don't think he's going to be great in the NFL. Yes, he threw 2 touchdowns today. He had some nice throws, but I don't know. I just don't see it. Maybe because he has Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson. If he ends up playing, he might be able to put together some good fantasy stats. But I don't think McCarthy is going to end up being their answer for the future.
I have been saying that for 2 years now. I have been saying that for 2 years since he's been in college. People have been hyping J.J. McCarthy up, and he is not that guy. I don't know what people see. I try to see it. I don't see it. Him being drafted as high as he did with Minnesota was kind of a head scratcher. My thing is they better hope Sam Darnold works out.
Yeah, which, by the way, I think he could. With the receivers they have, I think at the very least he can put up points with them. He might not be the most efficient. He might throw some picks, but I think he will give them a chance to win a lot of games. I think Darnold, he's someone that if he put it this way, if he wasn't the second overall pick and you didn't have that kind of expectations and pressure, I think people would look at him probably very differently than they do right now.
Yeah. It's so interesting you say that, because I feel like when you hear people talk about Darnold versus talking about a guy like Zach Wilson, totally different narrative. Like, people still have hope for Sam Darnold, where people have just thrown Zach Wilson in the trash.
Well, I mean, yeah, I feel like I agree with that. I mean, I would still have faith in Nathan Peterman over Zach Wilson. I just like Zach Wilson. Not only has he shown us nothing on the field, but it also seems like he's not really like a great leader, not necessarily like the best locker room guy. So, I mean, Zach Wilson, that's just funny stuff. That whole thing last year was good.
Now, since Nate is an Atlanta fan, if you don't mind, real quick, just before you get out of here, Eli, would you mind telling us your reaction when number 8 overall selection goes Michael Penix? What did you think about that?
I figured you was going to do this.
I mean, I obviously was stunned. I thought I didn't even hear it. I thought someone traded up. I was like, wait, the Falcons traded out. I was so lost. It honestly took me like 2 minutes to really realize what happened. But Nate, I'm curious. I mean, I don't talk with a lot of Falcons fans. Were you as displeased as I would imagine?
So before we signed Kirk Cousins, that was the guy I wanted.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a little better.
So when we signed Kirk Cousins, I think they were looking at it as Michael Penix wasn't going to be there. So I think that's why the whole Kirk Cousins thing, the Kirk Cousins signing happened, because Michael Penix was on a lot of people's boards. They just didn't think he was going to be there. So when we get to 8 and he's still sitting there, I mean, could we have gone with Dallas Turner? Yes. Should we have? Yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day, if Kirk Cousins is supposed to produce, is supposed to make us this team that he's supposed to be, we won't be in this position the next 2-3 years. So their thought process was, let's get this guy now. Sure, we may look stupid, but at the end of the day, we got our guy once Kirk Cousins is gone. Kirk Cousins is 35? He just come off an Achilles injury.
Yeah.
I don't see him. I mean, 2 years, year and a half, 2 years tops with Kirk Cousins. And then we let this guy take over. I mean, it puts us in a position, because if we make the playoffs, or if we make it to the division round or the NFC Championship, we won't be in that position to pick top 5, top 10 next season for the next couple seasons. So it makes sense. But I see what the other side is saying. But I mean, for me personally, we've been in quarterback hell since Matt Ryan left. So
yeah,
it's got a very Kamala Biden feel to it.
I'm okay with it. That's how I feel about it. I'm okay with it.
Being a Packer fan, I guess of all people, I should be in support of it, considering it's what we did for both Rodgers and Love. But I don't care. Like, I obviously am absolutely thrilled that Jordan Love is the quarterback of the Packers right now. But I had the opinion in 2020, and I've said it every time it's been brought up since. I still don't believe it was the right pick to make. Like, when you are in the NFC Championship game, I don't think you draft a player who's not going to touch the field for 3 years. Again, it worked out. I'm not complaining about it, but I just think if the Falcons do what we think they will and win the NFC South, end up, let's say, even in the divisional round, not the championship, but still they lose the divisional round because, they couldn't pressure the quarterback, or they give up 38 points and they didn't have anyone in the secondary. And it's like, well, if you drafted Dallas Turner, or if you got, a corner or whatever it was that could have helped the team today, like, that's just my problem, is that, like, I hear your argument with, like, if Kirk Cousins does what he's supposed to, we're not going to be in this position. But, like, it also doesn't make the most sense, because if you're constantly, let's say for the next 2 years, you're deep in the playoffs, I don't think you're going to be, like, running to move on from Cousins anyway. So it's like, the only way you're going to move on from Cousins is if he either gets hurt or he sucks. And if he gets hurt or he sucks, you probably will be in position to draft a quarterback again. So, I mean, look, it could work out. It was obviously very shocking. It was a crazy pick.
When I was sitting there watching, I wasn't expecting us to take him. Although there was a lot of like articles that were coming out, especially with Adam Schefter, saying that he could go to Atlanta. So I was like, it's just hearsay. Even before the draft started, Adam Schefter like reiterated. He said there's a very possibility that Michael Penix ends up in Atlanta, and I'm just like, there's no way, because like we haven't had a star pass rusher since Vic Beasley. Okay, so
that's the thing. I mean, they had the opportunity for Jalen Carter last year, and he's already projected to be one of the best defensive tackles going into this season. And now, if Dallas Turner is super good his rookie year, that's going to kind of sting.
It is.
Depending on the Falcons, win-loss record for sure.
Yeah, it's going to sting a little bit. It really is. But you know what? We made the decision. We have to live with it. Arthur Blank finally came out in support of Michael Penix, so we're here now. There's nothing we can do about this. We are here.
Yeah.
Well, Eli, again, you've been super generous with the time. There is one thing I have to know before we get out of here. We got the Brazil game, week 1, Green Bay versus Philadelphia. I'm not sure exactly how the fan base is going to travel as far as the Brazil game, but I do have to know one thing because there was a rumor floating out there. I don't know if it's fact or fiction. Josh Jacobs kind of floated out there as well. Is it true that neither team is going to wear green in Brazil because of some gang-related activity?
I think so. I really do. I think it's going to probably be like, the Eagles will wear the jersey you have on, the black jerseys, and the Packers will wear white. I assume it'll be signed like that. But truth is, I didn't realize or put it together, obviously, that you're an Eagles fan, and week 1 will be a fun one. But just to say, I know it's technically an Eagles home game on the schedule, but in Brazil, the number 1 NFL team is the Packers, and it's really not all that close. So again, who knows, but rumor is that it's going to be a heavily filled Packers crowd in Brazil. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Eli, you can follow him. Please follow him. Find him at x.com @bookofeli_NFL. He's a contributing writer for CBS Sports. You're a contributing writer for the Packer Report. You're a co-host of the Pack Show, as well as I know I'm missing one as well. Feel free to plug anything I'm missing out on here.
No, I think that basically covers it. But as we kind of mentioned earlier, I'll probably do some sort of takeaways article from this preseason game for Packer Report, so you can check that out. And if you're too lazy to do that, just follow me on Twitter, and you'll get everything there anyway. So, yeah.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for being generous with your time, man. We hope to have you back. I mean, I'd love to talk to you maybe after the Brazil game when we can do that reaction thing.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eli. Again, please, guys, give him a follow, and I hope you have a good night, man.
You too, guys.
I'll be in touch.
All right.
Awesome. Sweet. Hell yeah, Eli. We'll get in touch with you later, man. Thanks a lot. Nate and I are going to continue here, talk a little bit of NFL, talk a little bit of Olympics. I thought we could get into that.
I'm going to say this has probably been the most sports-filled summer I've had in a while. I'm just going to say, because I mean, you think about it. So the season ended in February, and then there's basketball. Basketball goes all the way to June-ish, and then you go from basketball to the Olympics, and then Olympics, then training camp starts. There was like no downtime for sports. Like it's just been sports all summer, which has been the best part of my life right now.
Now, please tell me you didn't go as far as to post anything on your Facebook page about the supposed dude who's not actually a dude. It really is a woman who boxed another woman in the Olympics. Please tell me you didn't post
that video. I was like, man, I mean, that kind of sucks if this is then there was like reports coming out saying that she actually is a woman, and it was a whole lot. I think what sparked it was that I think she got her and somebody else. They were disqualified like a year ago from women's whatever because their testosterone.
It was like a Russian thing, from what I understand.
Huh?
I think, from what I understand, it was because it was like some Russian panel disqualified her because she was like beating up Russian girls.
And they said her testosterone levels was a lot higher than it should have been, but you know what? I mean,
blame the Russians. I get it. Blame
there's
Canada.
a lot of people like Robert Griffin came out to her defense. And there was a whole bunch of other people that came out saying that this is actually a woman.
Yeah.
So there's always got to be some controversy in the Olympics. There's always got to be controversy.
I mean, if it was a dude, I would be pissed off. But the fact is, it's just a really teed up.
Basically,
I mean, if you are a UFC fan, then you've heard of Chris Cyborg, and you know that
exactly. Yeah.
There are some chicks who are just borderline men. They just are.
I think what happened is that the chick she was fighting, she punched her and she broke her nose like 46 seconds into the fight, and then she quit. So I guess that's where the rumor started. Like, oh, this is a man fighting a woman, and then you know how.
I'm sure Tommy Lauren was all over it, and all those people.
You know how those radical writers are.
Rumble was all over it.
Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck, man? Like, did just ask her. Shit. Stop with the assumptions.
Just give her the Ace Ventura.
Yeah, hey, there you go.
I know he's a man.
But yeah, it's been a crazy summer. The Team USA have been giving us some heart attacks.
Oh my god, yeah. Let's go into that Serbia game.
But yeah, that Serbia game was. Thank God for Steph Curry. Okay.
Hey, he waited this long.
Curry.
Oh man, and dude.
LeBron too.
Okay.
Man.
Yes. Can we talk for a second? My God, I know people want to shit on LeBron left and right.
I'm gonna tell you this much. My opinion of LeBron has changed drastically in the last 2 years.
Damn,
like I despise LeBron. Like I despise LeBron so much.
Oh, you don't like him anymore?
Fucking ridiculous. Like I despise this man. Like with the passion. Like I was like, I would pray for his downfall. Like I was like, oh, he had a losing season. Good. He missed the playoffs. Great. Now it's just like you just gotta sit and you gotta enjoy what you're watching right now. Because he may have a year or so left, 2 years. Depends on his body. And then when he's gone, it's gonna be you're just gonna be like shit. Like, dude, honestly, watching him in the Olympics at age 39, I'm sorry. You just gotta admire it.
We're so spoiled. I mean, I know. Don't get me wrong. In the past time, it's recency bias because people who watch Bo Jackson, people who watch Larry and Magic, they would say they were the best athletes of their generation for sure. But for us to have seen Tom Brady and the decades plus long career, 2 decades long career he's had, and for LeBron James to be 39 years old, to be as big as he is, as physical as he is, from the time he was in high school to now, to be the best player on the court in the world, still at the Olympics, is just fucking amazing. It's nothing short of fucking amazing. The guy can stay in the air. It's like a Mortal Kombat. He's Liu Kang in the air. He just does layups. You want him to shoot, you want him to drive, you want him to play defense. He's guarding Nikola Jokic, for God's sake, out there. I mean, it's amazing. It's nothing short of amazing.
But I have to say this though. Noah Lyles, I hope you, wherever you're at, recovering from COVID, I hope you go fuck yourself, buddy. You opened your mouth. He did this. No, he did this. This is his fault. Noah Lyles caused this. He caused this. Okay. He caused the fact that Wemby was sitting on the court crying. This is his fault. It's his fault that Serbia and all those other poor teams got their asses handed to him. It's his fault because he went and opened his mouth at a press conference. So I hope you understand you are responsible for everything that took place this year in the Olympics. Okay, it's your fault, sir.
How about the Olympics actually going with cardboard beds so the athletes didn't fuck on them? Is that the whole thing?
I've heard so many stories of like how horrible the living conditions for the Olympic athletes or what it's whatever it's in whatever compound that the Olympians stay in. They said it's horrible. Food's terrible, the bed's terrible. There's somebody just like Team USA was like, nah, fuck that. We're gonna spend 15 million and get all this. We're gonna get a good nice hotel with good food. Nah.
Well, and look, I got nothing against the man specifically. I love the man. From Murder Was the Case all the way up to, some of his more recent stuff. But to be paid $500,000 a fucking day to be there it blows my. It's almost as insane as $52 billion to Ukraine. Like it's right up there with what the hell are we spending money on? It's just
I have no idea how Snoop became the mascot of the United States, but he definitely did what he was being paid to do, and
but
it's miraculous, bro.
It's all love, but it's wild. Sha'Carri Richardson out there doing her thing, winning more, killing it, dominating out there.
Yeah, good. Man, listen. We did what we were supposed to do, and I love every bit of it. My question is where the fuck did Australia get the audacity to say we're in a rivalry? Where the fuck did that come from? Like who in God's favorite playground decided to say that y'all are in a rivalry with the United States? A rivalry will mean back and forth, not us constantly whooping your ass every time the Olympics come around.
I mean, talk about down under.
Where the fuck did that come from? I'm scrolling through today. Just so many Australians talking about, so they started changing the medal ratings. It's like, oh well, to be first, you got to have X amount of gold. Okay, well we did that. Oh well, now it's this. I'm like, shut up, just shut up. Like you stay where you're at in God's favorite playground because we don't want to talk to y'all.
How did some Japanese lady won the gold medal in breakdancing?
We got bronze in breakdancing. In Australia, for whatever reason, Australia found a bunch of drunk people to go to the Olympics, and they had zero. I was like, what the fuck am I watching right now? I was like, this is embarrassing. This is the country that's talking about they're in a rivalry with us. This is embarrassing.
And maybe you could clear this up for me because I know that there was that meme of that Turkish guy with the gun that went viral.
That fucker is that dude's a killer. Okay.
Are they shooting lasers? What are they shooting?
So from what I know about that part of that sport is like it's basically a shooting competition. And I'm assuming accuracy is probably the number one part of that. And if you look at all the other competitors, they all had special glasses. They all had some type of shit on their face or glasses.
That ear protection. That's what was throwing me.
This guy walked in his Saturday outfit, okay, with his glasses on and got silver. Rumor has it is he's secretly a hitman. Rumor has it, and the country told him like, hey, we need you to be good, but we don't need to be suspicious good. So he got silver with no preparation at all.
I love it. I loved every second of that.
Yeah. So he became famous overnight. So I'm pretty sure he's a hitman. He's something because that's suspicious to me.
Now, the last time we were on, did we talk about the opening ceremony? I think we did, right? Or no?
Briefly about are you talking about the debauchery that took place?
The whole the guy who was blue, double D, double die, and the big trans lady. With
we briefly we didn't speak too much on the debauchery that took place. that shit. Man.
My only thing with it is like, I guess I don't know. Do I have
I
a
didn't
thing
like
with
the
it?
fact that there was a child involved in that whole situation. I didn't. I don't listen. Here's my thing. If you want to sleep with men, if you want to be a man and sleep with men, cool. If you want to be a man and pretend you're a woman, fine. Whatever weird shit you do in the confines of your home, I'm okay with. Perfectly fine. Hell, if you want to be out in the streets and do it, cool. Leave the children alone. That's my problem. That's where I draw the line. That's where I have an issue at, is when you want to bring in kids into your debauchery. Leave the children alone. That's the problem that community has. Well, that's the problem that half of that community has an issue with. They think that people want to tell them how to live. Listen, we don't care. If you want to go and you want to stick hamsters up your ass, that's fine. Perfectly fine. If that's what you want to do, we are okay with that. What we're not okay with is when you dragging children into that lifestyle. Leave the children alone. That's all. That's all we're saying. You can do whatever you want. You can sleep with whoever you want. If you want to say you fuck walls, cool. You fuck walls. That's fine. We're okay with that. Leave the children alone.
Oh, wait.
That is the only problem we have.
Oh, sorry. We had word from Ken Jeong on the subject.
Is respect.
Okay, that's sorry. Just real quick word from Ken Jeong on the subject.
And I mean,
he called in. He wanted to give his 2 cents on it.
But it drew a lot of attention from like the Christian community. And you know what? At the end of the day, you know, when you go out of your way to mock someone's religion, you get what you deserve. It's just that simple. Like, I don't agree with a lot of religions, but I'm not gonna mock it because it's not my place. I don't care. Whatever you believe in is what you believe in. I'm not gonna sit and go out of my way to mock what you believe in. That's a lot of the issues that people are having is like, do what you want to do, but leave what I believe out of it. Simple.
Yeah, it's a tough one because, like, on the one hand, you're right. You know, you shouldn't mock people, but on the other hand, I do wonder, did all of the reaction, what do they call it, the Streisand syndrome or the Streisand effect, where, you know, it wouldn't have been a story had not, like, all these people put it out on their own pages and personal profiles, and you know what I mean? Like, maybe it wouldn't have been big of a thing if. I mean, so I struggle with that versus, like, maybe to do it in the first place, right? This is the Olympics. This is
right,
like of
and that's the issue,
achievement, and maybe there's like, you know, Drag Me to Brunch is a place for this, but not the Olympics type of thing.
Right. I mean, if it was done somewhere else that wasn't as globalized as the Olympics, it probably wouldn't have been that big of an issue. But the fact that you did this shit on the opening ceremony that everybody in the fucking world is watching, yeah, that shit's gonna draw a lot of attention, and you're gonna have to speak on that. You're gonna have to. You're gonna defend what you just allowed to happen.
All right, so let's make the switch over to your boys, the Atlanta Falcons. Did you watch the entire game? Did you watch highlights? What did you think?
I caught highlights because I was out yesterday. I went and saw one of the greatest cinematic movies of all time, and Deadpool and Wolverine. That fucking movie.
Oh,
you haven't seen it?
Maybe we should take a minute on to wax poetic on that.
If you have not seen that movie, you need to go see that movie. That movie is hilarious. When I say they do everything in their fucking power to break the fourth wall, there are so many shots at Disney, at Fox. It's hilarious. It was done in a way that I don't think no one else could have done it. It was done spectacularly.
Let me ask you this, because I feel like we're at a crazy time with technology and film and all the movies and stuff. Is it possible that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman were not even present at all during this movie and it was AI the entire time?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. If that's the case, that sucks. but I believe that they were both present and accounted for in this movie because this shit, like, it was fucking amazing. The cameos that there were cameos that you didn't even expect to be in here. It's an amazing movie. If you and your wife get a chance, make a date night and go see it. I highly recommend this movie.
Okay.
It it's hilarious. It's action packed. Like I said, the shots that are taking, like if you have been involved in the MCU for like the last 15, 16 years, everything that all the innuendos, you're going to catch all of them, and they're going to be a lot funnier than most people catch on. But it's a great movie.
See, I was what the hell? See, I was gonna save date night for the next Joker movie with Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. What do you think about that one?
I'm looking forward to. I don't know. I like the first. I love the first one. The first one was great. I just don't want them to I want them to keep everything the same and not try to overdo it. And they try to overdo everything and they make it just so unbearable to watch. Like I heard Borderlands is a god awful movie, and that movie should not be watched by the human eye. Is what I've heard.
Sorry, I know this is good stuff.
So I'm just, for me, as far as like live actions go, I don't mind them. I just stick to the story. Stick to wherever you got this idea from, stick to it. Don't ruin it. Don't create a live action and like Aladdin. I wish I could burn that memory out of my goddamn head. Okay? That fucking movie was terrible. Horrible. I didn't even watch the Lion King movie because I don't want that shit ruined for me.
Yeah, I will say, I did. Maybe you'll back me up on this. I enjoyed Detective Pikachu.
Yes, Detective Pikachu was a good movie. It was done. And again, who was involved in this movie? Ryan fucking Reynolds. Okay?
You're going to make me go with Mint Mobile by the time we're done with this conversation.
And we might help. I mean, everything he touched turned to gold. So no, it was that, like I said, that movie, it was a great movie. To see Hugh Jackman back in as the Wolverine, it was fucking great. It was amazing. It's rated R. Okay. Apparently, there's some shit going around the internet where parents are taking their kids to see Deadpool and they're being offended by the movie because it's rated R. Like, the movie is rated R. Why would you take your kid if you don't want your kid to see shit like that? It's rated R.
Yeah.
What would you?
People know it's just, listen. It's the same thing as when people walk into a door and there's a sign on the door that says "Use other door." I mean, people just don't fucking pay attention.
It's clear to me. Like, you can't get upset because you took your kid to a movie and there's blood and gore, and I think they went for the record of F-bombs. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I think between him and between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, I think they went for the record for most F words in the movie. I'm just gonna be honest. So, but it's probably one of the best movies I've seen next to Bad Boys. It's probably one of the best movies I've seen this summer.
Damn, Bad Boys for Life's up there.
Dude, you have no idea how nervous I was about seeing that movie, and spot fucking on.
That's awesome. It's good to hear because most movies suck these days. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's going to the movies you gotta pick and choose. You gotta be careful because you don't want to get stuck in a movie that you don't want, that fucking sucks.
Yes,
I can tell you that. You don't want to be involved in that because that's money, food, all that shit going down the drain, and you don't want that.
We may have talked about this, but I took my daughter to see the new Garfield movie. We walked out like half an hour, and it fucking sucked that bad. I remember my wife and I years ago. Went to see that Sucker Punch movie. Walked out.
Oh my God, that movie! Listen to me. That movie, when I was watching the trailer, had me hooked. I was like, "This is going to be a fucking grade A movie."
Something about it, yeah.
I almost broke my brand new laptop. I watched that movie and I almost smashed my laptop. I was like, this can't be fucking real. This shit was a fucking dream.
I'm glad we're not the only ones. Yeah.
I was like, this whole thing was just her escape from reality. I was like, whoever made that movie, I really hope they had an unfortunate level of events that just occur, just a bunch of inconveniences, just
bang their shit on the coffee table.
Yeah, bring your shit on the coffee table or trailer hitch for that matter. You lose the back of one of your earrings or something, or you lose a lens to your glasses and something just inconvenient because that movie was fucking terrible. It was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. And they were talking about making a part 2. I say, don't. No, scrap it. Let it be.
Yeah, that'd be a waste of money. Waste of money, sir. Well, the only thing I'm upset about, dude, I really wanted to ask Eli about Aaron Rodgers going into this year, what he thought about the Jets' chances, but, maybe next time. We'll see.
Man, I'm gonna put you like this. I think, barring him staying healthy, I think they could win a division.
For sure.
Because Buffalo's not as good as they said. Buffalo is not that great. Miami, we all know what Miami.
Limited stuff I saw tonight, like Curtis Samuel looks kind of shifty, Shakir looks kind of shifty, but yeah, it's not that same. No. Not the same offense.
They are what they're going to do is this. They are going to make their fans believe that they're better without Stephon Diggs, and they're not. They're not even remotely. I watched the game today against the Bears, and the first team sucked horribly. Josh Allen is garbage. Okay, he is fucking. I can't believe 3-4 years ago we were talking about Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen being the next Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way that's happening. Josh Allen.
This is a take I cannot back you up on. Disclaimer, by the way, everyone, just so we know, not backing Nate up on this one.
I can't believe we thought that a couple years, just was like 3-4 years ago, like their first seasons, that we were thinking that they were going to be the next Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Well, shit, one person's holding up their end of the bargain. Josh Allen is shit. He is not that guy. And now that he don't have Stephon Diggs, you're relying on Keon Coleman and two guys that no one really cares about, and your defense is suspect at best. You don't have Jordan Poyer. What's the other one? Micah Hyde is gone.
Yep.
What the fuck are you going to do on defense? Your back end is trash. You don't have a corner. You don't have corners. Your safeties are gone. Ed Oliver is your top guy. Him and Von Miller. Are you fucking for real? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I don't even know is Miller still there?
Yes, Von Miller's still there. He's coming off that injury. Remember, he tore his ACL last year? It was something else. He got hurt last year, so he didn't play. So he missed most of the season. So you're relying on a guy that's 30. How old is Von Miller? 30. He's north of 30. So you're relying on a guy like Von Miller and Ed Oliver, and then you got, like, come on, man. Like, no. If Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy, and we all know last year wasn't his fault. He had paper mache protecting him. We all know this. That offensive line
on the Eagles right now.
That offensive line was fucking terrible. I think if that offensive line holds up this year, they have a really good chance of winning the division, because we all know Miami is going to choke like they always do.
When it gets cold, for sure.
Yeah. And the thing is, how you play bad and 90% of the teams in your division are in cold places. How do you play? You cannot play bad in cold weather. You got to play the Patriots some point in December or January. You're going to play Buffalo in Buffalo at some point in December or January. And you got the Jets again, December or January, and it's fucking cold.
They need to do their training camp in like Antarctica or something.
I would, if I was Mike McDaniel, I would say we are going to fly to somewhere fucking cold and we are going to practice.
They're just like they're in the cold storage units at training camp, just like
because if you don't get home field advantage, you have to go to those cold places.
Yep.
You have to go to Baltimore. You have to go to Cincinnati. You have to go to Cleveland. You have to go to places that are in that late December, January. It's fucking cold.
This is literally the only reason that those other teams in the division don't have a dome is because they want to fuck Miami over.
Right. And again, everything is going to travel through Kansas City. And guess what, bitch? You played one of the coldest games in Kansas City last year or year before last. You have to get accustomed to being in the cold.
Yeah, no, the Jets could win for sure. The Jets could win for sure.
I believe it. I think Aaron Rodgers, I'm gonna be honest with you. With Garrett Wilson and who's this other guy? I can't remember this other kid's name. They are like high on this guy. They are
Corley.
Yes. I think Aaron Rodgers can have a big year this year.
Yep.
That's just me being honest because I mean, I'm sure they're gonna have an easy schedule this year because they obviously sucked last year because of
the division should be. I mean, well, never mind. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I think they can win a division. I think they could probably make a deep run because I mean, your powerhouses are not powerhouses anymore. Baltimore got worse. Cincinnati is Cincinnati.
Yep. We'll see with them. Yeah.
Buffalo is shit. Cleveland defensively, there's something that people don't want to talk about. Cleveland
could be a menace.
Cleveland had a top 10 defense last year because they played a bunch of bad teams in the first half of the season. They played a bunch of really bad teams in the first half of the season, and then once they got to the thick of the season, I mean, I think they beat the Niners because the Niners lost Debo in that game, and then Brock Purdy fucking shit the bed. But when you get to fucking the playoffs, and you let the Texans put that on your ass in front of everybody. They beat you by, I think they beat them by 20 points. That's a no-go. That makes me believe that defense wasn't as good as they were made out to be.
Yeah,
the offense was even worse.
That's a good point.
So the Jets realistically have a good shot. Can they beat Kansas City? No, I don't believe so. But I think they'll put up a fight. Because I don't see anybody in the AFC that can challenge the Chiefs at this point.
No, they're probably the favorites still.
The Texans are still kind of young. I think they need maybe another piece on defense. Because their defense is good, don't get me wrong, but I think they need another piece on their defense before they can say, yeah, we're this. Because their offense is fucking stacked.
Yeah.
Them signing Joe Mixon was fucking brilliant. I
mean, bringing in Danielle Hunter, they really want it.
Yeah, I mean, you got Danielle Hunter, and I think Derek Stingley is going to make a big jump this year.
Yeah.
Who's on the other side?
They got Will Anderson. They got Jalen Petrie at safety, who I really like. I think they have like CJ Henderson. They got a couple high draft picks on the other side too to rotate in there.
Yeah, so I think just their age. They got some experience last year, but I think their age is probably it's going to play a part because I mean it's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
you're going to have to outgun Patrick Mahomes, and then fucking Buffalo let them get Xavier Worth. Fucking Buffalo, man.
You know,
Here's my question. You were in a position to draft Xavier Worthy. You decided to trade back to let Kansas City get him when you could have took him, and you probably still could have got Keon Coleman in the second round.
I'd have to go back and see how it worked out, but clearly just Worthy wasn't their guy.
I would have took him, even if he wasn't my guy. I'm not letting these bastards get him. Why would you give? So now they have a trio. They got Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and fucking Xavier Worthy, along with Travis Kelce. Although Travis Kelce is aging, but now I can't put 8 in a box. I can't double Travis Kelce no more, because now I got a guy who could fucking take the top off my defense in a blink of an eye. They got a young Tyreek Hill again. Sure. No, that's stupid.
I think you're definitely giving them the credit of the best case scenario. There's also a worst case scenario where Hollywood Brown is kind of banged up as he is as usual, and then Xavier Worthy gets nicked up because he's smaller and he's just kind of a gadget guy. So
that is all true. Those are all true things.
I mean, why allow it to happen? Was a high pick.
It's like the Avengers allowing Thanos to get all the Infinity Stones. Why allow it to happen? If you can prevent it, why the fuck would you allow this to happen?
I get it. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because why allow it to happen? Like even let's say they don't. Let's say, obviously Hollywood Brown has injury issues. Xavier Worthy is fucking 110 pounds. Obviously, a solid hit might hurt him. But let's say that doesn't happen. Let's say these guys stay healthy, because that's typically what happens with offensive weapons with Kansas City. They tend to stay fucking healthy. What the fuck happens then? Now you're looking at God level problems in the AFC. Hell, the whole NFL might have to experience this shit.
No, I mean, they were able to dink and dunk their way through last year. If they can start dropping bombs again with Mahomes and guys, it's going to be.
And that's the thing. Yeah. Kansas City was not the best team in the playoffs last year.
Right.
They were not the best team. But somehow they managed to win, to beat a lot of good teams. They beat Baltimore because Baltimore forgot to run the fucking ball. Okay? Yeah. And then they beat the Niners again. The Niners are cursed. Let's just put that there. They're cursed. They're not winning the Super Bowl.
That's your boy Shanahan.
Yeah, especially with Shanahan. They're not winning the Super Bowl. So we can go ahead and we can push that. But you now giving them a guy even if you can't put 8 in the box, you're not going to risk your corner in a foot race. No, not dude. 4-2-1. That's all you got to remember. 4-2-1. That's all you need to remember. That's all. If week 1, if we're playing Kansas City, that is all I'm writing on the board. It's 4-2-1.
4-2-1. It could be amazing. He could be John Ross.
He could be John Ross. He could be. But I think about it. I mean, you're in a system with Andy Reid. Andy Reid understands how the game works. And I think Andy Reid is going to put this kid in positions to not take those hits, because Tyreek Hill wasn't a big guy, but he was solid. So he can take those hits. Andy Reid understands that this kid ain't but 110 pounds. He understands that he's probably going to put him in a lot of his routes are going to be flare routes, post routes. It's not going to be anything it's not anything in the middle. Most of them probably going to be like outs, little dig routes, something that where he won't take a lot of punishments from linebackers and safeties. Corners, obviously, you're going to take your punishment. But why would you let this happen?
Hey, you know who I really liked? I thought looked pretty good the other night? Your boy, Joe Milton.
Joe, dude, are you serious? I was like, who was the third? I was like, who was the third pick in the draft? Because it damn sure, I think we might have to swap this, because Joe Milton looked amazing. Like he looked like Cam Newton, to be honest with you.
He looked pretty
Like,
good. I like the way he was climbing the pocket too. He wasn't just rolling out in the sack.
Like, his pocket presence was fucking amazing. I'm like, and he fell to the 6th round. I'm like, somebody need to be fired here because the way he was climbing the pocket, his accuracy, the ball placement, his escapability is just fucking ridiculous. Yep. I think the Patriots are gonna have a problem on their hands.
QB controversy?
You think we got a QB controversy? Wait till week 2, week 3, and Drake May is his interception ratio to touchdown ratio is looking a little suspect.
If he's just dinking and dunking and they're constantly punting the ball,
you're gonna have a controversy in the middle of the season because Gerard May is it OJ Mayo? That's who it is. That's there.
Gerard.
Is it Gerard or OJ? It's one of them.
Gerard.
One of those black names. Okay, so it's Gerard. So you gotta think about it. He's the first black head coach for New England. It's his first year. If your first round pick plays bad, are you gonna push through the season, or are you gonna make that QB change?
It's a good question. It's a really good question.
That's gonna be my question. I mean, you don't have receivers to begin with. You just released Juju yesterday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if your first round pick don't play well, somebody gonna have to answer some questions.
For sure, man. Well, this has been a hell of an episode. I've had a great time tonight. I love. Bringing on guests is fun. We need to have more guests on. It's a good time to pick other people's brains and see how they feel about their teams, and it's a good time. And man, the Olympics have been interesting for sure. Yeah, it's been something to follow. The basketball has been kind of all that Jason Tatum drama.
Jason Tatum is he's a scrub. Let's be honest with you. He's a scrub. There's a reason why Steve Kerr didn't play him at all in these fucking Olympics. He's trash. He's not good. Okay. The only reason why they won the championship this year is because the Mavericks, for fucking whatever reason, forgot how to play basketball, and Jaylen Brown finally decided to show that he was worth the $300 million that they paid him. That is all. There was nothing special about. There was nothing special. And then Drew Holiday he took care of the tough defensive matchups.
Yeah, Holiday looked good. He's a good part of that team.
So, yeah, sit your ass on this bench, and I need you to cheerlead and get us some water while we do this. Let the adults play, because you need to sit your ass down. And then his mom had the nerve to get him. Shut up, bitch. Because your child is not good. That's why. Because he is not good. That is why he didn't get the blessed. Why Ant-Man played more minutes than him and Halliburton. Just sit here and enjoy the experience. You're gonna win a gold medal without doing anything. Now shut up.
Well, tell us how you really feel, Nate. It's been a lot of fun, despite a little bit of heat on Tatum there. Right there. It's been a great episode. Mostly footballers. If you just can't get enough of Nate and I, and you love strikeout beer as well. I know the guys mentioned on their last episode, Nate, they want to get us on one of these Wednesday nights coming up and do a mock draft with us, fantasy mock draft. So let me know.
Just let me know when. I will clear. Well, we're slowing. Work is finally slowing down. We're finally coming out of that busy season. So I will definitely be available going into the football season. I'll be available a little bit more. So just let me know, and I will be there. I will gladly be there.
Hell yeah. Mostly football has you covered with fantasy football as well, not just real football. I'd like to do, maybe a little bit of like 10 to 15 minute little segments on Fridays, maybe before the games, and just do like who we're
we could definitely do that. Listen, man, I am the little kid in me is finally waking up. He's realizing that his favorite time of the year is coming around.
Yes.
Fall and winter is finally coming. Football season is here.
We've got preseason football. It feels amazing.
The Chiefs getting their asses handed to them right now, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, no, I'm excited, dude. College is going to start again. I don't know if we're gonna have a football team in Georgia because motherfuckers keep getting arrested and kicked off the team. So I don't know. I don't even know if we're gonna have a team next year. So we're gonna see. We will see how that plays out.
Pretty sure I mentioned it before, but I just started a Dynasty League this year that Nate is a part of. So please follow along with our Dynasty League. It is going to be a super flex. It's going to be a tight end premium, all that fun stuff. We're doing points per first down. So just follow along with that. You know, I'm about to announce the draft order here coming up. Probably in another week or so, I'll put all our names in a hat or a tumbler type thing. Maybe I'll have the lovely Mrs. Busby pick names out of the tumbler or the hat.
I think you should let her do it because I don't trust you.
Wow. And there it is, folks. There it is.
I don't trust you because I have a feeling, it's just a sneaky feeling, that somehow you might get the first pick. I think you should let her do it. I trust her more than I trust you.
And there it is. Okay, so Nate and I, maybe it'll just be mostly Dylan football podcast from now on. It's going to be a lot of fun. Fantasy is going to be so much fun. I hope everyone follows along this show. You know, when you start from zero, you can only go up. So I can't wait to get more fans, more followers, more people joining in the chat and letting us know how they feel about their favorite teams. We will welcome you with open arms. Haters stay away. Lovers come on in. You know, haters, if you're gonna hate in a fun way,
fuck them.
I don't want to be dealing with spammers all night, but I do like a good back and forth. So yeah, bring the hate, bring the love, hate. Nate, man, can't thank you enough for another episode. It's been great chatting with you. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I think I'm going to start. I think I'm going to try to do some sports betting this year.
Yes,
I think I'm gonna go in and do some sports betting this year.
Which is legal in Texas, right?
Yep. I don't like losing money.
You lucky bastard.
But I'm going to try to do some sports betting this year and see how that plays out for me.
I'm gonna have to get a VPN or something.
But you can't do it in Georgia?
Nope. It was on the bill was on the docket this year, but struck down again.
Why? What's wrong with betting? You can smoke crack, but you can't bet? What the fuck?
Tell me about
it. Hey, man, that's Georgia for you. That is Georgia for you.
That's Georgia. All right, folks. Well, keep your eyes out on the Mostly Football Facebook page and I'm trying to keep up on X, but I deleted the apps. I only have so much storage on my phone now, so I'm doing the freaking, what do you call it? The old-fashioned way. I'm going on the web pages and trying to keep us updated. So just bear with me. On Twitter at Mostly Football _ and then on Facebook, just go to Mostly Football Podcast, I believe. And keep your eyes out. Nate and I always trying to bring you the best. And we love you. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.